Surveillance Manager number 7, the hyper-scalable Internet of Things. Please put your hands together for Jennifer. They're all warmed up for you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Robert.
You got some water too?
I've got some water this
Excellent.
time. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming to see us at the booth today. My name is Jennifer Baccioni. I'm the product manager for Video Surveillance Manager. We have a lot of exciting updates to talk to you about today and to show you all throughout the booth as well. So just to take you back in time, about a year ago at the exact same event, we announced Video Surveillance Manager 7 for the first time. And the goal behind 7 was to really build a good architecture and foundation to provide extreme scalability and flexibility. So the idea is to allow our customers to start small and be able to scale out infinitely in an easy and efficient way, while also preserving flexibility to allow our customers to be able to deploy things centrally or distributed. The features that we provided in Video Surveillance Manager that helps facilitate this flexible and scalable architecture include virtualization, so the ability to share resources and make the most out of what you have, support for 10,000 cameras in a single operations manager system, and also auto registration and auto discovery of all these hundreds and thousands of devices out there. We also brought in something very important, which is the idea of templates. So, you know, when you've got these hundreds and thousands of cameras out there, if you've got to make a minor change to that, you don't want to go and touch every single camera or device out there. You want to change a template and apply that template on the fly to change the configuration for all these cameras. So that was a very key point that we did in 7 that allows the flexibility and for all of these devices to be managed in a very efficient way. In addition to that, we also focus on the operations level of all this. So your security operators out there, how can they do their job in the most efficient way? We introduced something called the Safety and Security Desktop as part of Video Surveillance Manager 7. It's basically an interface that allows you to view your alerts, your alarms, all of your video, manage your archives, clips, everything that's important to a security operator. In addition to that, we're all very familiar with this industry. There's a lot of great vendors here that work on applications for analytics, PSIM, for example. So we also provide APIs, a very broad range of APIs for integration with our third-party vendors, and you'll actually get to meet a lot of them here on the show floor today. So that was VSM7, and what we want to announce to you today is a lot of really nice enhancements that we've done to take the scalability even further than the 10,000 cameras that we talked about. So for one thing, let's focus on flexibility. Scalability is really nothing if you can't do it in a flexible way. So we have validated and tested both in our lab as well as at the customer sites 3 new architectures that you see here. The first one is a really centralized model. We call it centralized data center. You'll see this a lot with city surveillance projects. So you have your hundreds and thousands of cameras scattered all throughout the city. However, they all get backhauled between 1 or 2 data centers. And you have all your recording, you have your storage, and your operations all managed centrally in a location. And most of the time, again, to make the most of the resources that you have in the data center, you also want to be able to virtualize all of this. The second architecture, distributed architecture, but still with central operations. This probably is the most popular architecture that we've seen with our customers. You have your cameras and your recording at all your distributed sites, but you don't necessarily have a security operators there, or a lot of them. So you're still doing a lot of your operations and your management centrally. The third architecture is a highly distributed architecture. Think of maybe retail, right? A lot of our retail customers actually have security operators out of each one of these sites, and they need to be able to operate these sites independently. So you have your recorder and your management out there. However, if an incident happens, you still somewhat have a central operations center, and we are able to also federate all of these distributed sites together as well. So let's talk about the 3 main features that are coming out in 7 that actually help facilitate the scalability and flexibility of these architectures. The first one's Federator. We just talked about highly distributed environments. We talked about the 10,000 cameras per environment that we can do today. Well, what Federator allows you to do is bring all of those operation managers into a single interface and allow you to scale up to millions of cameras globally, being able to be accessible via a single user interface. Dynamic proxy. Let's look at the first two, centralized data center and distributed architecture with central operations. A lot of times your distributed sites out there where your cameras and your media server is, sometimes that's separated between that and your operations center by a very low bandwidth link. What happens when an incident occurs? And now you've got 20, 30 people viewing the same video feed. That's 30 streams going across your possibly T1. The result of that is really, really bad quality video or no video at all. What dynamic proxy does, it actually proxies a single feed, not 20 or 30, but a single feed to your central location, and it will fan it out to as many users who need to see it. So now you are making very efficient usage of your bandwidth. And the last one here is your MediaNet. So hopefully you've all heard of MediaNet before. It's something that's very unique to just Cisco. No one else in this industry has MediaNet. Think about the network that we run our video on. We share this network with voice, every other application. It's very important for us to understand how we prioritize this traffic, but also when your security operator sees a problem with the video, it's very pixelated. How do you troubleshoot that today? Especially if you're the security team and you don't manage this network. How do you go tell your IT administrator, I have a problem with this video? What MediaNet does is it brings in all the information intelligently from the network, it gathers that information, and it makes a decision for you as to how you should configure your network to get the best quality video. And when that video doesn't come in clear, where is the problem, what is the problem, and how do I fix that problem? So I encourage you all to see a MediaNet demo that we have here with our partner ActionPact. Their application called Live Action helps you visualize the entire flow and where the problems could be. Next, analytics. Video without analytics really doesn't mean a whole lot. It's just a lot of data that you have to sort through. So we're bringing analytics directly into Video Surveillance Manager. One way is post-recording motion data. So if you continuously record today and an incident occurs, you don't want to have to sit through 8 hours of video just to see where this happened. We can actually do that search for you in Video Surveillance Manager and then record the metadata for you to go back and search at any time, or even clip it out and provide that to your public safety police officer, for example, for their investigation. Secondly, I talked earlier about partnering with some of the greatest analytics vendors in this business. We can also take the metadata that's generated by a third-party vendor and bring that into Video Surveillance Manager as well. At that time, you can use any business intelligence application to pull that data out and use your own operations data to make your operations a lot more efficient. And last but not least, we talked a lot about scalability and flexibility. As your network grows here, we all know that you can no longer contain all your cameras within just a building anymore. You have to be able to put cameras on buses, on trains, maybe on cell towers. What if in that environment, you can't always have a media server close to the camera? What zero video loss is the ability to store video on the cameras on an SD card and then being able to flexibly move that data to the media server when you're on the proper network. And why do we call that zero data loss? Because we ensure that data is always preserved and it's never lost, because it's either kept on the SD or it's kept on the media server. We touched on MediaNet a little bit. I just want to talk about three quick things that we're doing with MediaNet for this release. Going back to the reasons for why we do this, we have to be able to deliver high quality video. So we're providing, the first thing is what we call tagging of the video data. So those of you who sit here are part of the IT team. For example, how can you tell the difference between video surveillance traffic and regular video collaboration traffic? We're going to be able to show you that in this release. The second thing is we're going to allow you to gather what we call media trace information. It basically, within a video surveillance flow between the camera to the media server to the client, we will show you the visibility all the way through that flow and be able to gather all the statistics so you know when there's a packet drop, when there's delay, a lot of delay and jitter in the network. In addition to that, what's also important is pre-deployment assessment and capacity planning. Let's just say I actually haven't bought any cameras yet, or I'm adding 200 more cameras and I don't have that yet. You can actually go into this tool, specify how much added bandwidth and cameras that you're going to put into the system, and it will tell you what that will look like in terms of the impact on your network. So you can actually do a lot of this planning prior to even deploying any of the cameras out there. Oh. Well, the next slide is supposed to show our camera applications. Yay. So we think of cameras today as just a sensor to bring video in. But we are changing that. Think of our phones, right? We don't use these phones to just call people anymore. They're smart devices. We run applications on here. Very similar concept for the cameras as well. It's no longer just a video sensor. We're actually introducing the capability to run applications right on our Cisco IP cameras. And these applications could be any type of application. It could be an audio SIP-based application. It could be an analytics application. It could be a business intelligence application. So we're taking a lot of this intelligence out into the edge. These applications actually come from a variety of partners that we're working on. We test, we validate, we help manage these applications. You can move applications between different cameras. I encourage you to take a look at the demo that's right here at the booth. We're actually showing a Intuvision, which is one of our partners for analytics. We have their application running on the camera itself and being able to collect information through back to VSM. So that concludes my presentation. I thank you for the time. And again, I encourage everyone here to ask questions and go take a look at all the demos that we have.
Jennifer,
Thank
everyone,
you.
from
Thank you.
VSM7.